So my way isn't necessarily the only way, but I do like to be extremely well organized. I think being organized is a really important part of exiting. The due diligence process is pretty real. It's pretty crazy. We were very organized, and so we were able to get through it in a pretty streamlined way.
This episode is brought to you by 10X Nerds. If you're a business owner doing real revenue, there's a good chance you're overpaying in areas you haven't even looked at. Things like credit card processing, insurance, telecom, and more. 10X Nerds comes in, audits your expenses across 30 plus categories, and finds immediate savings. And here's the kicker. They only get paid if they save you money. It's a complete no-brainer. If you want to keep more of what you make, go check them out at 10xnerds.com. This episode is brought to you by Rakowski Law Firm. If you're a business owner or have built a level of wealth, but you don't have your estate plan dialed in, you're exposed. Rakowski Law Firm helps families and business owners protect their assets, avoid probate, and make sure everything transfers exactly how it should. This isn't just paperwork, it's a real strategy to protect your legacy. If you haven't looked at your plan in a while or don't have one, go to rakowskilawfirm.com. This episode is brought to you by Blue Collar Business Advisors. If you're running an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, or landscaping, or any other type of home service business and wondering where all the money is going despite growing your revenue, you need to talk to Paul Maskill. Paul has scaled and sold multiple blue-collar businesses and now helps business owners improve cash flow, profitability, and financial clarity through outsourced CFO services. His clients gain a better understanding of their numbers, build predictable profits, and create a business that supports the life they actually want. One of the things I appreciate most about Paul is he's not just a finance guy. He's been in the trenches as an owner. He understands the challenges of running blue-collar businesses because he's done it himself. If you're doing a few $1 million a year in revenue and want to stop guessing at your numbers and start building real wealth, head over to bluecollaradvisors.com. That's thebluecollaradvisors.com and schedule a discovery call with Paul and his team. Blue Collar Business Advisors, helping blue-collar business owners build financially healthy companies and achieve permanent profitability. This episode is brought to you by Corberry Digital. If you own an HVAC, plumbing, electrical, roofing, or home service business and you're tired of wondering where your next lead is coming from, you need to check out Corberry Digital. Corberry specializes exclusively in helping home service companies dominate their local markets through SEO, Google Ads, local service ads, websites, content marketing, and lead generation systems that actually produce a measurable ROI. Their team doesn't just focus on clicks and impressions. They help contractors lower customer acquisition costs, increase qualified leads, and build a marketing engine that scales. What I like about Corberry is they understand the blue collar space. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone. Their entire focus is helping trades businesses win in their backyard and generate more profitable jobs. If you're looking to grow your business, improve your online visibility, and build a marketing system that works, visit Corberry.com and schedule a strategy session with their team. That's Corberry.com. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. This episode is brought to you by my friend Silas Lagoy over at ForgeMark Wealth. If you're a high-income business owner or professional and feel like you're getting crushed by taxes, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. ForgeMark Wealth specializes in advanced legal tax strategies and wealth planning designed to help you keep more of what you make, grow it efficiently, and actually build long-term freedom, not just income. If you're making serious money but don't have a real strategy behind it yet, I highly recommend connecting with Silas and his team. What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by ExitWise. If you're a business owner thinking about selling your company, whether that's now or years down the road, you need to know what your business is actually worth and how to maximize that exit. That's exactly what ExitWise does. They help you prepare, position, and ultimately sell your business by assembling a world-class team of M&A experts around you, guiding you from valuation all the way through closing. If you want to know what your business is really worth and how to increase that number before you sell, go check out exitwise.com and get ahead of it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Bible and the Big Hitters podcast. Jason spans the gamut because he has started Best Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Repair. It sounds like since then you have exited. He is also the founder of Good Golly Garage Doors. He is a serial guy, really laid back, awesome founder. I'm excited to pick his brain today. Jason, tell us your story, man. You've you kind of been in and out of a couple different areas in the blue collar space. So how'd you get started and how did we wind up here?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I got started in the trades back in 2003. and started off in the industry as a duct cleaner and just kind of worked my way through the industry, learning to be a air conditioning tech, installer, maintenance technician, selling technician. Kind of worked from 2003 until 2017, so 14 years as a tech, and started up my own company in Vegas, Best Air Conditioning Plumbing Repair. Had that business for 5 years and 3 months, August of 2017 until November of 2022. We started from scratch, just life savings, and exited out of that business in November of 2022 for pretty good exit. It was considered the record exit in Vegas at the time. Since then, there's been other exits that are pretty phenomenal, and worked with private equity for maybe it was 6 months. Really wasn't for me, and semi-retired for about a year, and then started up the concept of Good Golly Garage Doors.
What, out of curiosity, private equity, people love it or hate it. There doesn't seem to be any in between. What was your experience going through exiting? And then what didn't you like when you kind of got inside, I guess, the belly of the beast, so to speak?
Exiting was great. The company that I sold to, they're actually amazing. They're a really great company, really good people. Were honest through the entire transaction. Working with them, I really don't have a problem with them at all. It was more, I'm used to doing things the way that I like to do them. I think that I'm pretty effective at doing the
Yeah.
things that I like to do. I stick to the
Yeah.
fundamentals, and that wasn't something that they were into, and that's fine. That's their, the way that they do things is good for them. Um, I wouldn't have done it in any other way.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, when you exited, what was the overall sales, or what was whatever you feel comfortable sharing numbers wise? I know the audience would probably like to hear it.
Yeah, well, we exited for just under 50 million. Um, I had no partners, no debt, so it ended up being a pretty good exit. Um, we were with our company, like our first year, we did 2 million in revenue. Second year, we did 3. Third year, we did 5. Fourth year, we did 9. Fifth year, we didn't complete because I ended in November, but we ended up doing about 16. We always maintained about, we never went below 25% net profit. So last year, I believe that we were around 27% net profit, maybe 30% EBITDA.
Yeah. I know that there's a lot of people in the space, especially since PE has really come in. It seems like HVAC is really not it's competitive, but I know roofing is hot, fire safety is hot. Um, what would you say to founders that are hoping to exit one day? Guys that are building their businesses to eventually sell.
There's a lot of different ways to do it, of course. So my way isn't necessarily the only way, but I do like to be extremely well organized. I think being organized is a really important part of exiting. The due diligence process is pretty real. It's pretty crazy. We were very organized, and so we were able to get through it in a pretty streamlined way. But I think most companies, they do struggle in that area of having all their numbers correct, making sure that, all of their, not just taxes have been paid, but they have records of everything so that when they go to exit, they can do it. I think having documented processes and systems and the way that you do things allows you to show value, like there is room to grow. And even if you don't have it all together perfectly, that's okay, because, private equity is going to want to do it the way that they want to do it anyways. But at least by having all those things documented, they know where they can pivot and what they need to do to ensure that they're going to get the most value they can get.
Did you go direct to the PE firm, or did you have an M&A advisory firm helping you through the process?
I used SF&P advisors, so Brian Cohen and the guys over there, Ryan Keats.
Yeah.
They pretty much, worked with me. I almost sold the business in 2021. I was already working with them. October of 2021, I decided to not sell to that company that wanted to buy. It ended up being a really great, a really great decision. I didn't know it was going to be a great decision at the time. They made the offer of, they made an offer to me that I said that if someone makes this offer, I'm going to sell. And they made that offer. They first lowballed and then came back and said they wanted to make that offer. And I decided that that wasn't for me. I didn't really trust, that sort of move that they did towards the end, and just said, I'm not going to trust you with my team. I'm not going to trust you with my old company. That was a big part of it. And so, yeah, just went on until August of 2022, and then started meeting with people again, found a really great partner. Again, like, they were honest throughout the entire transaction, which was important. And that's when we exited. But SF&P was really a big part of that.
That's awesome. Let's talk about Good Golly for a second. So I had Mike on the show,
Yeah.
who seems to be more like maybe in the thick of it. It sounds like he's doing everything from marketing to doing occasional calls and things like that. Tell us about the vision for it, and how's it going so far, switching to a completely new niche, I suppose, in home services.
Yeah, we started April of last year, so April of 2025. So it's been just over a year now. So now it's April of 2026. Right now we have 7 locations. So we're in Vegas, Austin, Phoenix, Victorville, California, Modesto, California. Modesto also services Sacramento and San Jose. We're in Decatur, Alabama. We just opened up a location about a week ago in Atlanta, Georgia. So 7 locations there. We have 3 more that we're likely going to open within the month, in discussions there. So a little bit of a different model. When I originally was going to start that business, I was just going to do a single location garage door company in Las Vegas, similar to Best Air Conditioning. And that was October of 2024. I decided that I was going to do that. And well, my wife had some medical issues, so I wasn't able to really do it in the way that I would want to do it. I'm kind of a hands-on operator, in the office every day, working with people and building it up from there. And I just knew I wouldn't really be able to do that. At the time, I was pretty much spending every day with her in bed, making sure she was okay. So there was no way I could do that. And started talking to people across the country that I knew. I have a pretty good reputation in the industry. And found that there were a lot of people that were interested in getting involved in garage doors, or in another side trade, whether they had their current company as a legacy company, or maybe they exited and wanted to get into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And talked with them, and I said, I think we can get into garage doors, and started to create a different model. It's a very different model. It sort of looks like a franchise. It could even look like private equity, but it's really neither one of those. And it's worked out really well. Like you mentioned, Mike. Mike opened up his location February 2nd of this year. So it's only been, they're just completing their 3rd month. And they were profitable from month 1,
That's
from
crazy.
February. They were profitable February, profitable March. They're
Yeah.
crushing it in April, so, they're, Mike and Jacqueline, his wife, which I don't think she gets enough credit. If anything, she's, the one making things happen in that location.
Yeah.
They're killers. And it's been great.
Mike, you're a bum. It's all Jacqueline. As you heard it straight from Jacqueline.
He's not a bum. He's amazing, but
Yeah.
Jacqueline, she's a killer.
Yeah, that's great. What's been different about switching to garage doors from, I mean, I'm assuming some of the principles are the same, like reviews and marketing, right? But I'm sure there's also lots that different. Like fundamentally, you're offering a different product and a different service. Like, what have there been any sort of like snafus and learning curves that kind of have been interesting to overcome?
I think the biggest difference, I think most of the things are the same, but the biggest thing that kind of smacked us in the face right in the very beginning was, I guess, Google. Google is the king, right? And when you're first starting a business, nobody knows who you are, so you have to get out there and be on Google. And I guess Google looks at garage door companies almost as a locksmith situation. So it's garage doors and locksmiths. So there's like a higher level of scrutiny. It takes a little bit longer to get Google verified. And that was something that was surprising to me. If I opened up a plumbing company today, I could be on Google, tomorrow, and I could be Google verified within, a week or 2.
Yeah.
With garage doors, we had our GBP page up right away. That was no problem. But we couldn't get Google verified. Like the company that we started to use in the very beginning, they didn't know how to do it. Then we hired another company and they couldn't get it done. And it was like a 6-month delay. So when starting a business, you want to get started right away, right? Because there's money being burned every day. And so there's definitely money being burned for about the first 6 months. And now we've got it worked out to where we can get it done within 4 weeks. But in the very beginning, it was surprising. Like, what's going on here? Like, why can't we get Google verified? We've got everything done. We're real people. We're not breaking into people's homes, and so that was the thing that really kind of stood out for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's going really well in your business right now? What's the biggest challenge you're facing?
I think what's going really well right now is I work with partners. So I have partners in all those locations that I named and partners for all future locations. And they wake up every day like startup entrepreneurs, ready to crush the day, ready to make things happen. And we have a lot of suggested strategies, or you could call them best practices, in the way that we do things. And everyone adheres to some of those things, but they also use the creativity that they already possess from whether it's from previous business ownership or, understanding like Mike and Jacqueline. They were not in the trades, but they were serving trades in the digital marketing space. So they bring, expertise there. So right now we have a large network of go-getters that are knowledgeable and that are willing to really jump in and do everything every single day. And that goes a long way, because even if there's like some outage in Service Titan, or some way of maybe selling a job in a different way, everyone chimes in and says, hey, this is what's been working for me. So it's a very trusted network, whereas normally you're networking with good people and they do share a lot of things, but you don't necessarily have access to them literally 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
right? And so that's really been helping a lot, because some of these partners that I have, whether it's the Victorville partners who have an amazing plumbing company, amazing plumbing restoration company already in Victorville, that dominates their area, to like, and that's Joey and Beva Cisneros, to Brandon Graham in Austin, who has a great plumbing company out there. And, they already know what they're trying to do. And now they recognize, hey, this is a whole new startup. And so they get after it every day.
Hmm. Yeah. That's amazing. How are you guys integrating AI into the business?
As far as AI, like right now, so Jacqueline, Mike's wife, she's the CTO of the company. And so she just built an app. It's in the Apple store. She used Claude, to kind of generate a lot of the workflow on that. And she did a lot of stuff on the back end there. We're creating after hours call center for after hours, as well as overflow. That's all being created in house using AI. Automating reports. So, for instance, whether it's a job costing report, there's a job costing report that comes out every day, and it's going to show the name of the client, the technician that was there, what was actually sold, what the equipment and material costs were, what percentage of that revenue is material and equipment, what the commission percentage was. And it'll spit out our gross margin, and it'll show us whether it's red, yellow, or green, so that we can kind of stay ahead of that, right? Instead of waiting until the 15th of next month to discover that we're not profitable, we can make those adjustments in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What's something we haven't talked about today that gets you fired up? Could be business, could be family, could be something unrelated, a new hobby or passion that you have.
I don't I don't have a lot of hobbies other than work. I mean, I eat pretty healthy. I work out every day. I have a whole family, so I have my wife and 4 kids. So like my oldest daughter, she's into volleyball. My younger daughter's into gymnastics. So I spend a lot of time doing that. My sons, they're in college, so I spend a lot of time just talking to them about what's getting ready to happen in the real world. But really, I'm very focused on business. Like, I enjoy business. I love business. I don't think of it as work. It's just part of what I do. And so one thing that I enjoy is developing people. So even like with Good Golly, I'm the CEO, but I'll jump into the sales trainings. So we'll do like a national sales training. So I did one this morning with the technicians, and several of the partners are on there. And, I just enjoy talking about interactions with clients, engagement, clearing objections, working through like the customer service process. I was a technician for years, so that's kind of really my bread and butter. I enjoy doing that. I would jump in a truck now, except I just don't have time.
Mhm. What do you, out of curiosity, in the garage door space, where do you feel like there's a big opportunity? You're probably more like the third or fourth garage door guy I've had on the show. Um, in terms of the opportunity in the market, is there a low quality with garage door companies out there? Is there an opportunity to do things better? Like, where do you feel like the real opportunity is?
So I've met a lot of garage door guys now, of course, across the country, and they're amazing people. Like they're really great people. I think that one of the things that might be missing from a lot of the businesses in general is a lot of them, they, and this isn't meant to be an insult because, I understand it. They don't necessarily all know their numbers. They don't necessarily look at their financials. They may not necessarily be focused on being extremely well organized. Whereas, like one of my vision statements is to be the most organized and forward-thinking company in the industry. Right? It's important to be organized for a lot of different reasons. For instance, if you were to go work at a company and they were completely disorganized, they didn't have their stuff together, you couldn't get an answer to any questions, there was no sort of way of doing things, you might end up saying, I can't work at a place like this. It's a shit show, right? And so just by being well organized, you allow people to stay on board. They want to work there for you. They enjoy, understanding what they're supposed to be doing every day. And so I think that that's it's not necessarily a low hanging fruit situation, but it is a way of operating that you would say every business should be operating that way. I mean, it should be a given. But the fact is, and this kind of applies to almost any trade based business, probably 90% of the companies out there are just not operating in that way. And so I'm sure all of your listeners are operating that way. But amongst the people that might not be listening, they might not be operating that way. And, that becomes a problem. It becomes a problem to maintain profit, which profit is a good word, not a bad word. You're in business to make money. Don't you want to make money? Don't you want to make sure that you're building your business effectively? And
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the things that I think are missing in, I think, every trade-based business.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So you mentioned it's a little bit of a different model. So you are not necessarily looking to acquire other guys' companies. And after I speaking with Mike, it sounds like you're looking for the guy who might be an independent operator, have experience in the space, who doesn't necessarily have quite a good brand. And so you're giving him it's not a franchise, but you're giving him an opportunity to roll up under your brand and like actually own a business and not just be chucking a truck. Is that kind of the model that you guys have established?
Kind of. We aren't necessarily even looking for people that have an established business. We aren't even looking for people that own a garage door business. The partners that I have, none of them, well, except for one, um, have ever had anything to do with the garage door space.
Hmm.
It is more of a, if you are a go-getter, you understand business, whether you have a background in business, you want to do something different, you want to establish yourself in the community. It's a pure greenfield startup situation where you end up joining our network and we plug you into the website, get your, set up your LLC, get your EIN, plug you into the website, employment benefits, 401k, medical and dental, 100% covered. We have your handbook. We have basically everything that you'll need to start a business, similar to what a franchise would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am the only financial partner. So I invest 100% into your business. I'll get you a building, get you a truck, get your truck wrapped, set up your bank account, get your credit card, do
Hmm.
everything. You work with my holding company, which we have myself, a CMO, a CTO, VP of field operations. So like my VP of field operations, he used to be the main coach for I think it was maybe 26 location garage door company that was doing a pretty decent amount of revenue. So very similar model to what we have. And so if you don't understand garage doors, well, guess what? You're going to work with him pretty much every day, and he's going to work with you every day. And then when you go to hire technicians, he's going to sit in on the interviews and help you kind of navigate through that. And you'll end up becoming a business extremely fast. Whereas,
Hmm.
like you might have no problem. You can get through all that back end stuff, set up your website, getting with Service Titan, going through all of these different, you know, uh, different sort of third party vendors and figure out how to run garage doors and eventually become profitable and be fine and have an exit and do great. But if you're with us, you're going to get all of that stuff right away, almost to the point where you're saying, okay, it's hard for me to keep up. And then we kind of tone it down because we're just going to hit you with everything and we'll get
Yeah.
you started.
Yeah. Um, So I think I understand what it is. It's kind of like a captive agency. So I'm a financial advisor by trade, and it's almost like you're a lot of times financial advisors, they choose to align with like an Edward Jones or a Merrill Lynch or something because they're basically getting the protection of the mothership. They're getting an office with an admin. They're getting the brand, right? You're kind of creating a captive agency for garage door guys in a way.
Similar, yeah. And
Yeah.
the thing about it is like the people that join in, they end up being my full 50-50 partner on their location,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so we're 50-50 from profit to exit to everything.
Yeah.
And we learn a lot from each other. And it's there's been a lot of people that have wanted to join. It just there was a reason why it didn't really make sense, whether they just couldn't really do it within their own business. Like we're not really here to coach them on how to run their business or the Good Golly business. We're here to help and support and give them some different things that they can do that'll work out better. We have a really great website. We have really great marketing, and it's just only going to get better. As I said,
Yeah.
it's only a year old, so we're gaining some traction everywhere. And every location that opens up new opens up faster and stronger,
Yeah.
than the last one.
Yeah. I love that. Well, is there anything we haven't talked about today that you wanted to touch on?
No, not really. Just really enjoying this new industry. And well, you know what? I guess there is one thing. There's something that dawned on me going through this process. There's a lot of really well established businesses out there that have done amazing, great things. Let's call it 50 million, $100 million businesses. The people that run those businesses, they're experts. They're amazing. They've gone through every phase of business from, some of them have started up a business all the way up to 100 million, and they've done everything. And one thing that I found out is and I think most people already know this, but one thing that I've become really aware of is most people that are at that phase, people will say, look, I've forgotten more than you'll ever know, right? That's kind of an ego thing that some people will say. But I've actually found that in a lot of cases, that's almost true. They get to this sort of 50, 100 million, even 500 million, like these amazing, crazy operators out there. They get to that point and they do know everything. But you know what? They sort of forgot what it was like to start up a business. And so you would say, well, this guy should be able to do it really easily. But unfortunately, they kind of get into that startup seat and they don't recognize the fact that you might only get 5 phone calls in a day. And so every single one of those calls is like worth 20% of your day or more. And you can no longer just miss a call. You can no longer disregard, one appointment. Like every single appointment is important, and it's a huge building block to the future. And so they
Yeah.
kind of come in and they just forgot, like, oh shit, it's like almost like having a brand new newborn baby. Like if you have a 5-year-old, you forgot what it was like to have a newborn baby until you're waking up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important for startup people.
That's a
Um,
good point because I literally
yeah,
realized I blacked out for my second son. His entire like 0 to 2, I was so exhausted. I was like, I see my camera roll. My iPhone reminds me of pictures and videos. I'm like, I literally don't remember that. I forget all of that, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah.
yeah. And so for a lot of people that are exiting and getting ready to start up their second thing, it's great, you know, but you don't want to disregard all of the basic fundamentals
Yeah.
that you may no longer necessarily pay as much attention to as you did with your previous business,
Yeah.
right? It's really
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah. I love that, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun. It's always cool to talk to people that have been on the other side, and you're doing it again. You're going through the crazy again, but it sounds like you've learned a lot of lessons, and the way it's growing is it's a really cool model, man. I got to talk to one of the operators, and it's powerful what you guys are building. So thank you again for sharing. If people want to learn more, Jason, or perhaps there's a listener that might want to inquire about being one of the locations, how can they get more information?
Yeah, they could either reach out to me on like Facebook. They're welcome to, I mean, they could even shoot me a text message. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. I don't mind. Like my phone number, I can give it out right now. It's
Yeah, go for it.
702, yeah, 702-499-3473. They can message. Usually I get back to people within the same day. It's no problem.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Don't go anywhere because I want to keep talking, but thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.